Hello, welcome. I'm Jem Jalal.
Tobias Mayer.
Hi, and we are back.
Here we are, we're back.
Yeah,
it's been a while.
I'll tell you what, it has been a while. It's good to be back, and I'm going to get straight into it. Let's do something LinkedIn related, and it's to do with, is it okay for Scrum Masters or Agile coaches to use peer pressure?
Well, let's have a story about that, Jem.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you where this came from. My peer on LinkedIn, Adam, he made some interesting observations or comments about a story. So I was working on a Scrum team.
Recently? Or?
No, 2010, 2011, we're going way back. And there was a gentleman, and he was really disgruntled. He wanted to work in a cubicle, wanted to be left alone. Okay. The rest of the team were willing to give Scrum a go. And what that meant back then, gosh, almost 10 years ago now, was people spoke in the mornings around the board. That's how it was starting. This chap, he knew why we were doing it, okay? And he kind of agreed to go with it. Every now and again, he'd play up. So when we go towards do the daily Scrum, he'd kind of like talk about it or moan that we're still doing it and hurry up. One morning, he said to me, I don't want to come to the daily stand-up. And so my response to that was, cool. All right, bye. And I went to the daily stand-up.
You were the Scrum Master?
Yeah, I was a Scrum Master.
Okay.
And the development team were like, well, let's call him Bob. If Bob doesn't come, like, we're going to have to repeat ourselves. And I was like, yeah, I know. Who's first? I just felt like, the daily Scrum's going to start, no matter what, right? Anyway, what happened was the people in the team, a few of them went back to Bob's desk. And you can see there was a conversation. And it might have looked like a little bit of, a bit of conflict, dare I say. Just asking, like, you didn't come along to the daily Scrum. We're going to have to repeat ourselves. Come on, it's slowing us down, so on. This person wasn't happy with the process, and what this resulted in was, at the end, he didn't come to the other daily Scrums. He stopped going to the retros as well. He started working more from home, and eventually he left.
The team?
As in, he left the organisation.
Oh, he left the organisation?
Yeah, he left the organisation.
Right.
Now, I used the word peer pressure because when the team asked me, what are we going to do about it, I was like, I don't know. We've spoken about why we're doing it. We're all a bunch of adults. We've all discussed that we want to give it a go. Somebody doesn't want to give it a go. I'm not going to force them to come. So we're going to crack on and see what happens.
Right. So your response to Bob was like, Bob says, I'm not going to come. And you say, all right. That was your response, all right? And then see what happens.
Yeah, cool.
So an interesting exercise for the viewer might be to pause at this point and talk about your opinion of Jem's reaction there and Jem's response 10 years ago, bear in mind.
Yep.
Did you do the right thing? That's the question. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, at first I felt a little bit bad, if that's the way of saying it. In other words, it wasn't my job to try and somehow influence him in another way or sprinkle some magic fairy dust and
beg him to come.
Come along. I'm a servant leader. Servant leader means that I must somehow compel you to come.
You could have taught him about how great Scrum is and what he's missing and all that.
But then I thought to myself, like, I'm not a salesman.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to sell you something. Like, if I had not spoken about why we're doing it and spoken about the problem that the Daily Scrum's trying to solve, fair enough, but I did. And he tried it on that morning. And what I mean by that is, I think he thought I was going to say, please come along. I was just like, okay.
You actually gave him quite a lot of power and some freedom.
Yeah.
So, I don't know why the conversation revolved around peer pressure. It sounded like the other members of his team felt the impact of him not being there.
That's right.
So they expressed it to him.
They expressed it, and
which is their right to do.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, ultimately, it's their sprint goal, right? They're delivering it together. And if information gets lost because of tacit knowledge or whatever and there's misunderstandings, then it's going to affect the team's goal.
Yeah.
So people who cared approached him. I'm sure that others do care, but they may have not felt the courage to approach him.
Yeah.
And what that resulted in was eventually, over, I think about 6 to 8 weeks, that person had left.
Yeah.
And why peer pressure? Because what I'd mentioned in my post was, when a team asked me what to do, I said it's up to you guys. And peer pressure in that the group of people going towards the goal express their needs. And you could say maybe they did put a level of pressure. You could, if you wanted to. Like, hey, look, hold on, I thought we were doing this thing together. Now you don't want to do it. And I don't think, I mean, whatever you want to call it, I do not think that I acted in an unfair, bad way. Like, I spoke about why we're doing it.
So the way I see it, right, is you were practicing Scrum. So the Scrum Master's job is to ensure that Scrum gets done, right? That we follow the framework of Scrum, right? And every day there's a stand-up meeting, right? So when Ken Schwaber taught me Scrum, he was talking about this idea of like turning the crank. He had this metaphor of like the Scrum Master's like it's like a sausage machine. You just keep turning the crank.
Oh,
I don't like that metaphor very much.
Yeah,
I don't really like it, but it's the idea of just kind of keep going no matter what. And if you keep going no matter what, you expose the dysfunction. So what you were able to do in what it sounds like quite a short space of time is bring to the surface the fact that this particular character didn't want to do Scrum, didn't care about Scrum, didn't like Scrum, and recognised quite soon that he was in the wrong place. So he made a choice to leave. Now that's probably a win. That's probably a win-win, in fact, a win for the organisation and a win for that particular individual who probably went on to get a job that he loves doing, sitting in a cubicle by himself or something.
Well, you know what's interesting about what you say? The word what came up from the comment from Adam, and it was insightful and it was interesting, the words, was, think about empathy and other things like this. Well, I think in many ways, I showed the greatest form of empathy, which I think is compassion. Yeah. Which is like, what?
If you don't want to come, you don't have to.
Totally. Like, you're an adult, I'm an adult, I'm not going to coerce you. If that's what's up, don't come. And you can decide for yourself.
Yeah.
And I know what you mean by the moving this crank thing, like creating a rhythm.
It is creating a rhythm, yeah.
And eventually,
you just got to keep going, and you expose the problem that way.
Yeah.
And I think it was a compassionate act, actually, Jem, to say, okay, you don't have to come.
Yeah.
So it's a great deal of freedom. You can't coerce someone. You can take the horse to water, right? You can't make him drink. You can say, here's the water.
Yeah.
This is something that you might like to do, and the rest of your team seem to be enjoying it. And he says, no, I don't want it.
Exactly.
I don't want your water.
That's right, exactly. And when the guys asked me, hey, what about... And I was just like, I don't know. And genuinely, I don't know. I didn't know what to do. I think that's part of it as well. And I didn't claim that I knew what the answer was. All I knew was this. This adult in our team did not want to come, and I was not going to force them, and I was going to carry on with what we're meant to be doing.
So the team made some efforts to keep Bob in the loop and bring him in, and he didn't want to come in.
That's right.
He went away. He went from home. So yeah, I think that I wish more Scrum Masters would do stuff like that. Just recognise where they don't have the power.
That's right.
All right, it's out of your hands. You can't do anything. What does the team want to do? It's really what you did.
And I wish I had like an ending that said, and by doing this, the person realised they missed out on the information and they were compelled to come. But and that's why
maybe something better came out of it.
Yeah, that's why. And I like that, because I was going to say a happy ending. In fact, a better ending took place, which was he found out it wasn't for him.
Yeah.
Isn't that true power? To know what you want?
I think it is. Yeah. I mean, it's a lot more than he had, wasn't it? He felt very disempowered, I imagine, being told he had to do things he didn't want to do. And now you're saying, you don't have to do this.
That's what's up.
And maybe that opens some doors.
Yeah.
I don't know. But so...
that answers that, then.
Yeah, Scrum is not about forcing it. We don't want to force people to do Scrum. We want to say, here it is. You're welcome to come in. There's a banquet going on, and you can join. But if you don't like the food, then go somewhere else.
Well, and here's what's so true. When you look at the Scrum guide, it says on the first page, the rules of the game. And I like to think you can invite people to play a game. Yeah.
We're going to do another talk a bit later on another day about rules, aren't we?
We are.
We're going to get to that.
We are.
So I think we'll wrap this one up, Jim.
We will.
We're trying to keep these a little shorter. A little sweeter, maybe.
That's right. Good work, Scrum Master.
Check it out.
Keeping to our time box. Yeah, let us know what you think. Let us know. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.